Ah, live.
All right. Okay. So it's on there. Well, good evening. I'm not sure who's going to show up or how or when, but we're going to have a good time regardless. So
Yes.
I'm Carissa with P.H.R.E.E.E., and this is my first live of the season. Like I went months and months
Woohoo!
and months and months and months with nothing. And so this is exciting for me because it's the first one I've had for the season. So you know me, but I also have Stephanie and
Woohoo!
I have April with me, and they're all married. And me too. And I have another married lady that was going to join us, but she had an emergency that she
Oh,
had to tend to, and so my thoughts and prayers are with her. As things happen, and then, but we women, we do the thing. You know what I mean? It's amazing what we're able to do. Uh, so I'm excited, and it's just going to be there's Cedric. At least we got somebody watching. Hi, Cedric. This is Stephanie's husband.
we're going to see who and what I'm going to talk about.
So there's
I
We
already
have a
told him
fan
I'm talking
club.
about my favorite
eyes
part.
on the screen. So all right. So we are. I kind of want to get into. We've all been married. I think I've maybe the youngest in marriage.
Mm,
I don't know. Okay, so I will be married 15 years, and
okay. I think I'm at, no, I'm behind you.
I can't hear you again. Hold on.
April, can you
Oh,
hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can.
And April, I think you've been married longer than
Yeah,
me.
I'll be married 24 years in June.
24
Wow.
years in June.
Congrats.
Yes.
Stephanie, you
Yep.
said how long you were married? Well, I couldn't hear for a second.
14.
Huh?
Wait, is this an even year? Okay, so 14.
Okay.
The surprising part is I actually never know this. My husband does.
Yeah. At least somebody remembers. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
To know which day you're supposed to go have a nice dinner, once a year. So okay. So I have I have questions. But I think so we can kind of get to know the people can kind of get to know this whole marriage thing. It's also kind of fun. I wasn't planning on doing this, but it's kind of fun to if you want to share. Like, how did you meet your spouse?
Oh, I know that one.
Okay.
I might not remember my name on most days, but I remember that one. But I'm gonna let April go first.
No, you go right ahead.
You've been married the longest, so your story's probably extra special.
She knows this one, April. We better let her jump in on this one. We're so proud of her.
24 whole years. Wow, that's the age of my daughter. Wow, you've been married as long as my daughter's been on this earth.
Mhm.
April, would you like to go
Oh,
first?
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how did we meet?
Mhm.
Okay, so we were at both of us were at an icebreaker at BG, and I sent my friend over to him because she kind of knew him a little bit, and so I sent her over to say, hey, April wants to meet you or whatever, whatever, and he came over, or I went over there, and then he was like, you look like a little girl. Are you supposed to be in here? Yeah. And so anyway, we exchanged numbers, maybe talked once, and then we saw each other at another spot later on. And this time he said I was like, you keep looking at me, but you ain't saying nothing. And he was like, I was like, you must have a girlfriend. And he was like, well, we can be friends. And I was like, I don't want any friends. So anyway, years later, but we kind of like kept in touch. We exchanged numbers and kept in touch periodically all throughout my college years. And then when I came back to Toledo after I graduated from school, his friend saw me and said, your girl's back in town, and called him. And he called me right away. It was my first year teaching. He called me right away and was like, "Hey, you're in town?" And I was like, "Yeah." He had recently moved back to town too. And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm coming over." And I'm like, "No, you're not. I'm in my pajamas, and you're not coming over." And next thing I know, he's knocking on my door at my parents'
No.
house, and I'm in my pajamas and my scarf.
Oh no.
Yeah. So after that, he never stopped coming every day. So he was persistent.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story.
So I have to tell you because for him to say, "Are you even grown up?" Both of you
Yeah.
are very petite women. So how does that happen? So people close to me are so little. So I think that I'm 5'6", or I'm about average, right? I think April is not.
No. 4'10".
She's
I
little.
would like to
Yeah.
consider myself as being tall. I'm a whole 5 feet. I am a giant at this rate. I don't care what nobody say. I made it to 5 feet, dang it.
You did.
So, and then she has this baby face. So imagine back then, I mean, she probably didn't even look like
Hmm.
a teenager. Okay, so how did you and Sad meet?
So
By the way, Cedric said, what did he say? He said, "My wife is fine." I mean, with the extra ease. Just so you know, I had to
what,
share.
honey?
I'm in the chat.
So we actually met in a program. We were in a program called Horizons Over Bound Hub. And so that program was for kind of inner cities kids. I'm from Detroit, and so it's like Detroit and Pontiac and a couple other places. And you would go there in the summertime. You would go to Bloomfield Hills to like a private school. You'll stay there for 6 weeks in the summer, and then in the school year time, the fall and winter, you will go to what's called winter phase. So in the summer, he's 2 years older than me. So when I got there, I was a freshman and he was a junior. And there was this other guy who liked me. And I was just like, no. And he liked my bestie. She's my bestie now. And she was like, no. Like he was bugging her. She was like, no. I said, look, you get this guy off my back and I'll get Sid off your back. And so we're like, okay. And so then, it just kind of went from there. And I was like, oh, I like him. I really like him. And so then that summer, the summer ends, and of course, there's a few weeks before school starts. And so winter phase rolls around, and he comes to me, and it was hold on, my daughter's birthday is 10/7. It was 10/9. I gotta remember these birthdays. It was on October 9th, and he came to me and he's like, will you be my girlfriend? I'm like, yes, yes. And so he told me, he was like, oh, but I won't be here the following week. And I was like, oh, okay. Because so we went to two different high schools as well. So he went to a school on the east side of Detroit. I lived on the west side of Detroit. So it wasn't like, oh, we lived around a corner from each other either. And then the day ends, and I'm telling my bestie, like, I didn't even think to get his number or give him my number. What was I thinking? How do I have a boyfriend? I can't even call him. And so the following week in Michigan or the North, a lot of times we celebrate. Well, you might know. You said you're in Toledo. Celebrate. Yeah, you're from Michigan. Sweetest Day. And so he had his mom bring him to the school, and he had a card and a rose. The inside of the card had his phone number. I was like, oh. So we dated for, I think it was like 17 months. In the midst of that 17 months, that joker broke up with me once and twice. How, you know what? I don't know why I keep it one. So the first time he broke up with me, I don't know. He didn't know either. And so then we got back together, and then he broke up with me again because, like I said, he was 2 years older than me. So he was going off to the military. And so he broke up with me. And we remained friends, and we would talk from time to time. Well, remember I said that we went to Hub, and we have a group of us that we chit chat. Well, our one friend, Maya, this was back when MySpace was popular. And so she was out on MySpace and she found him. And I knew he had gone to the military. He was in the army. And of course, that time we're talking about Desert Storm and all of that. But I didn't know what happened to him. And his parents had moved out of Detroit. So I couldn't contact them. But she found him. And she was like, she sent me an email. She said, "Hey, a blast from your past. I didn't give him your phone number. I didn't really know, but I gave him your email address. You're okay with that." And that was on September 1st, 2006. And so I was going back to school and I had to take a couple of prereqs and my phone wasn't on. So I went to the library. And so I'm at the library. The furthest I got was opening up my book. I took the wrapper off the book and then I looked at my email and I actually saw his email first. And he's like, "Hey," da, 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 da. And I'm like, I'm holding up to the table like, remote in the library.
Aww.
And so I was like, okay. And I'm like sending him messages back and forth. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in Africa right now, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, and it was rapid fire. He's like, "Slow down." He's trying to answer questions. And he's like, "Well, I'm on MySpace, but I didn't know squat about MySpace. So I'm trying to set up this MySpace page. And look, I'm not good with technology. So ever since then, we have talked pretty much every day. And we were like, well, we're going to take things slow, that type of thing. Yeah, that didn't happen. But we ended up getting married in 2008. Yes, February 2008.
Well,
But I'm ready to trade them in at this rate. I'm okay. I'm going to trade them in.
You're okay. Well, I've known Michael for over 30 years. We met in high school, but we did not date because we were in different circles, you know, and I was kind of couldn't do much because like, you know, my grandfather, who was the pastor of a church kind of popular, was around the corner from my house. And then my math teacher lived like right next door. And my aunt was a security guard for the high school. And so it was really, April, for real. That's why you saw me so happy in Toledo, because I felt like I had some freedom for real. Because at home, there was a lot of eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't do anything. And so, but we just ran in different circles. Like, I was in the drama club and he was the alpha thug. You know, like we just ran in different, but we were already friends. But you know what I'm saying? But that was it. And I thought he was kind of cute, you know, and you know, like, you know, pale, you know what I'm saying? But you know, he's fine, but he wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, I was thinking I was gonna get something, you know, I wanted something like my daddy, like tall, like 6'3", you know what I'm saying? And chocolate and all that. But that's just not what happened. And when I brought him around the family, because you know how families are kind of funny, like, well, who his people is, you know what I'm saying? Like, what church you go to? And it was like, he's a Black Mexican who was at that time really wasn't going to a church. So, you know, cultural, you know, things too. So it was hilarious. But the cool thing is, because we were friends, it just kind of, it was an easier kind of thing. It wasn't like, you want to be my girlfriend? We didn't reconnect really until I was in my 30s, which is crazy. And then we dated for like a year or two and got married. But let's jump to these questions. And by the way, I forgot to tell you that Stephanie said that you are 4'9". That's what she said.
That's Maya. And Maya is the one that hooked us back up. And I am not 4'9", Maya.
I just had to say.
That's my other sister at this rate. See, that's why I'm the favorite with Mama. I'm the favorite.
So we have a few people visiting here. You said Maya. Maya, and then we have Dee Dee. And all Dee Dee's from high school. She knows me and Michael. So she knows that I wasn't in the circle, you know. I see Reese here, Jacavia. All right, so let's jump to these questions. So I marinate on these things, and then I think it's going to be, good for me and other ladies too, to kind of hear other people's perspective on this. So here's my first thing. We've all been married for a nice chunk of time, right? And so when you've been married for a while, it's never going to be a honeymoon for eternity. You know what I'm saying? We just kind
Right.
of figure out how, and then life happens, kids happen, and things, and then you know. So, what is your? I'm just going to jump right in. What is your take on marriage counseling? If you feel like you've gotten to the point where um you can't communicate, or well, yeah, maybe you've lost some kind of communicate, or you need a third party to kind of help uh, be the middleman. I like. What are your thoughts on marriage counseling, April?
I think marriage counseling is a good thing if both people are willing to participate and be cooperative. It can, I think, having a third party can definitely, just provide some insight that would be not geared towards one person or the other, like just a mediator from the outside looking in and trying to make observations of, what kinds of things um, could be worked on or strengthened.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
I find that in our community, especially it's like a big faux pas to even mention like marriage counseling. And I think besides just marriage counseling, I think counseling in general is maybe a healthy thing to do.
Yes.
And, and,
Mhm.
and without getting too deep, Black folks probably need some counseling. I'm saying there is some post traumatic disorder, but we'll talk
Right.
marriage right now. But I think it's a healthy thing to do. What are
Hmm.
you thinking about that, Stephanie?
Um, I am all for it. My husband and I, we actually go to counseling. Um, and I do individual counseling. He was doing individual. He doesn't do his individuals anymore. But we go to counseling, like you said, April. It's kind of nice to have that third party. Now the interesting part is there's times I go in there, but this, and she's like, Stephanie. So I'm like, wait, Stephanie, that's not how that's supposed to go.
Right. Right.
But and I don't know if she's gonna chime in or she's gonna jump in. I did send her the link actually, tell her I was on. But it has been very much so beneficial because she gives us lots of tools. April, I heard you mention you're a teacher.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
so
you guys are both teachers. I forgot to point that out. A lot of teachers and short people in my life.
yeah, yeah. uh,
Anyway, sorry, just random
but
thought.
it's you know what, Chris, I'm gonna get you. But April is just like, when we're teaching, we give the kids tools to put in their
Hmm.
toolbox that they can use. And I don't know what it is that you teach, but regardless of what subject or what grade level, they always need some type of tools. And that's the same thing that she gives us. She gives us tools for our toolbox. And when we have those times when it's like communication, like you said, Carissa, communication is kind of lacking. Said cannot stand purposeful meetings. He can't stand that phrase. And she's always like, so you need to have some purposeful meetings. And he's like, call it anything but that. Like, calm down.
I like
But
that.
that's one of those tools where she's like, you need to have times where you two sit down and say, this is what we're going to talk about. And she'll tell, about in her marriage how like they may sit down, like she got married right before we had started going to her, and she's like, we would sit down and talk about the wedding or talk about our budget or whatever. And she was like, those are times that you sit down and you both are really focused in on that topic. And that helps you to grow. So I'm all for that. I'm also, just like you said, Carissa, faux pas. I grew up in a community where therapy, no. And it just wasn't something that you did. Sid comes from a background as well as like that, but also the military, it's like therapy. But
Mhm.
people are starting to realize now that that's essential for
Right.
everyone. And I know, like for me, as soon as I was like, my daughter need, let me send her to, because it's important and you need it.
Yeah.
I think the sooner you realize, the better. And even,
Mhm.
even healthier, you don't have to wait until you're in a bad place to go seek counseling.
Right.
Right.
I think it's healthy to even consider it when you're in a good place. And I will admit he's not listening. He might see this, but we've considered it. You know what I'm saying? We've considered it when we were in a bad place. We've considered it when we were in a good place. And I think it would be good. But he's like a lot of men who are kind of like, I don't know. And so I finally got him to thinking, okay, so maybe. But then he's like, well, you might get a laugh out of this. He said, well, I prefer a female counselor, a therapist. And the crazy thing is, I really thought he would want a male therapist,
Right.
someone on his team. Like, and to make it easier for him, I had all kind of people lined up. I'm like, look, I got folks, he's gonna be in your team. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be your dude, right? But he was like, no. And I think I'm not gonna explain it the way he probably would, but I think he was saying that I'm going to feel, I think, judged by another man on how I should be a man, which I never really thought about that. You know what I mean? And then I thought about, oh Lord, I'm putting it all out there. But there were a lot of females in his family. Now this is just my thinking of why he would think too. I think he can relate to women very easily because he's got so many. Is there only like 2 boys in his whole entire, like family? You know what I'm saying? So I think he has an easier time with talking, and I think he said he could hear better from a female, certain things, and so we're still looking, but I think it's all healthy, and I think it's all good.
Me too.
So here is our next question. When there's a breakdown and you understand, how do you? Okay, so when there is a breakdown, I guess I probably answered this out of order. How do you and your partner cope? So I guess let me rephrase that since we've already gotten to therapy. What kind of tools do you use, I guess, that you've learned or that you just have grown to know how to do when you guys have like a breakdown in communication? What do you do?
Well, I know for us, one of the first things we do, and Sis really big on this, step away for a moment, take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because you just need to bring yourselves down. And then that cuts out that whole you're like they always say, don't make decisions when you're upset and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That cuts that out because you brought it down. And then we come back and like purposeful meetings. I might be sleeping in the backyard today.
You
learn if I call y'all. But no, seriously, we'll sit, we'll talk. And I'm not gonna lie, I'll walk around, I'll have an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk at first. And then, but we will eventually, like, we will talk. And then we'll both express. I come from a family where, first of all, my parents, I never remembered them being married. They got divorced probably when I was 2. Who knows? Right after my sister was born. I don't know. But my dad was always around, and all they did was yell, fuss, cuss, scream, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the background I come from. But he's also helped me to learn how to bring it down, because he doesn't come from that background where, you're yelling, cussing everybody out and hitting below the belt. And so we would have, it might be stern, like what we're saying, but we're not hitting below the belt. We're not yelling and cussing each other out. And we're, taking the time to listen. Sometimes depending on the topic, it is a lot more of a structured thing, which is once again, one of those tools in the toolbox. She told us, you get 2 minutes. And then, that person repeats what was said, and then they get 2 minutes, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we're still, I think we're always going to be in a learning phase, because I'm not the same person that I was. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
5 years ago, really. And so, and he's not either. But like, I remember like one of the things I learned about him, because I like to talk things out, like right away. I don't like to wait. But also, and I like to share, like right away. Like when you come home, tell me about your day. Why not? But
that's me.
Right, you know what I'm saying? And that's not like him. So I had to respect the fact that it's not an unloving thing, that he needs a moment to go into his office and kind of like defrag.
Right.
He was like honest and good enough to say, and it never got crazy, where he just said, just early on in our marriage, he said, so Carissa, I know you want to tell me stuff, but like not right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, can I get 15 minutes or something like that to, just let me think by myself for a minute. So I think, as long as you're communicating too, that is a big deal. And so, okay, so now this is a fun topic, I think. How do you keep the joy in your relationship when you've been married for a chunk of time?
Yes, April, how? Because I don't know. One might have left out the window when I said it. So I had to join in.
Hold on. You got
Oh, God.
notes.
I'm ready to take notes.
Oh, let's see. I think it's important to, I don't know, be thankful, show gratitude towards your spouse for what, acknowledge what they are doing and bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
To be considerate, try to be thoughtful. And I think that brings joy into the marriage. I think when we work on projects together and work to accomplish a goal that we have set in mind, that brings joy to the marriage. Spending time together, like uninterrupted, just the two of you, I think that brings joy to the marriage. Even reflecting on some of your experiences that you've had, down through the years, I think that brings joy. Like you've been around a minute, ain't you? Like, like
Right. Like, you still
yeah,
here?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, like always right around our anniversary, I'm looking at him. I'm like, for 24 years, you've been doing the same. Whether that be good or bad, but just some reflection about, your blessings, really, counting your blessings. I think all of that brings joy to the marriage, just kind of doing life together.
Yeah. So I have to say, your sister Vicky said, she said Amazon Prime. But
Something's wrong with my sister. Let me tell you how my sister is. She's like, look, Stephanie, you better keep your mouth shut over there. He kick you out. I don't know how his next wife gonna feel, but I'm gonna be living up in the house, and she just has to be okay with it. I'm like, wait, did you say you about to replace me in my own home? What can I say? That's my sister. Help us all. How I've stayed married and having her as my sister, I'll never know.
I think a lot of the things you said, April, I can kind of relate to, and it's funny because I had to reflect as you were talking and take that for granted. It's those little things that make it still joyful. You know what I mean? Like, we'll talk about the craziness, or we talk about our experiences that we had overseas with Stephanie, or we'll think about what it was like when we first got married and how he cried. Or we'll talk about little fun. In fact, we just had a laugh thinking about Alonzo's first experience with basketball. It was hilarious, but we shared it together. And what it was, and I'll show you, it's a funny story. So we were trying to help Alonzo figure out what kind of sport to get into. He was about 5 or something, right? And we were on a base. And we had introduced him to basketball, and he had to go use the bathroom. So he went out this door, and it's a double door with a glass window, right? He went out the door, and Daddy said, okay, I'm going to be at the door waiting for you to come through the door, right? So he's a high-functioning autistic child, and some things don't do well. Like, we didn't know this at first. He wasn't diagnosed yet. Well, now we know. But the buzzer in the game, the buzzer, okay, you know what I mean? The really
yeah.
So he's coming to come back in. He heard, and he was at the window, and Daddy said, "Come on, it's time to go back." And he's at the window like this. But it was like, we just talked about this last week because together we've been on this journey with the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes. And figuring things out, and how we didn't know better then. We didn't know. But so it was a little thing, but it brought a little bit of laughter and joy just thinking about that. I think we're better at the dating thing, but like a lot of us, we kind of get in a kind of a funk, life. We we just don't really do it. You know, now the kids are a little bit older. We can maybe let's go have tea or something real quick.
Right.
And so we try to do that more often. But for us, because this is how we live in, because we don't have a life, girl, grocery shopping together is like a thing. Like, you know, you ready?
Really? You get Michael to go to the grocery store with you? Really?
And sometimes it's because I'm sort of a germaphobe, so sometimes I won't go and I just make a list and I order it all, and then he just goes pick it up. You know.
Yeah, Dion does ours too.
Yeah, because sometimes I just don't like to be around other people, but
my husband's lacking in some areas. My husband does shipped for a living now. Like, remember, we met overseas, and he was in the military, and then when he got out the military at 20 years, he kind of went a few jobs, and then now he's settled into doing shipped. So I shop as well, but not nearly as much him. Like, this is his everyday grind. He loves it because it's flexible. But let me ask that joker to go to the store with me. No, I ain't going. No, I don't feel like going. They get mad when I go with my sister. You're gonna be there like 2 hours. Well, you gonna go shopping with me? I'm going to tell you. We gonna go. See you later. I don't know.
But you know what? I'm that kind of shopper. I don't like to be out too long. I like to go. That's why I do online everything, because I like to just go in and come out. I don't like to try on clothes. Now I kind of have to though, because things have changed. But yeah, I just kind of don't like to. I just prefer. So, okay, now this is the most important topic, and it's about self-care. So, really, not even about our spouses, but what do you guys do for self-care? Anybody?
Well, like I said, one of the things I do is I do go to therapy. So I have my individual sessions. We have our couple sessions with her, and then I have my individual. So I am the type of person, and this is one thing when you talk about earlier when you're saying about recognizing the things that your spouse does and all of that. So Sid always tells me I have like a huge heart. And for the most part, I do. You know, I'll give you the shirt off my back type of thing. And I tend to do for others and not really focus in on myself as much. And so I know you mentioned like, oh, you're a teacher. Yeah, but I'm on sabbatical for I don't know how long. Because for me, everything in the world just kind of it was just too much. And so that's something I've been working on a lot is self-care. And yes, I'm no longer embarrassed to say that I go to therapy. I'm no longer embarrassed to say that I take medication. And I know, and I don't know if this is one of your questions down the line, but there was a point in time that I was embarrassed to say that because, you know, being a Christian is like, and, you know, you just pray about it. Now, okay, well, you know, God gave everybody gifts. And so he gave therapists gifts and he gave those researchers gifts to find the medication. So why can't we tap into their gifts? And so now I'm no longer embarrassed or ashamed to say that. And so being medicated and going to therapy and then just trying to figure out what, you know, some days I feel like I'm just wandering around in a dark room, but I've been working at figuring out what do I want? What's best for me? And taking time to step back. So I actually have not taught since January 22nd, 2021. I sub. Yeah, that was my last day. Yeah, and I got COVID all the same day. I was doggy. But I sub now. I've gotten to that point. I sub, but I needed time to figure out what was best for me. And it has helped. It's taken a while, but it has helped. And I think that has also helped my marriage because the way I was feeling, like for me, I've had depression my whole life. And toward the end of me working, my anxiety ramped up so bad. I've never had anxiety that bad. Yeah, a little bit. But my anxiety was so bad that it was debilitating. And so I was like, Lord, can I just have the depression back only? It was like a, comfortable coat. And so it was starting to affect my marriage as well, because how I was feeling and thinking really was affecting the marriage. And, I had to figure out something to help me so I can help us as a unit.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here. He's still here.
Do you do anything special, April, for self-care?
You know what? I was trying to think like, what would that be? That's just for myself. You mean like treating myself to something
No,
or?
just anything like even get your nails done or yoga or like prayer group or just, anything that's for you and doesn't, and it's for you and your peace of mind.
Hmm, I don't know.
It could
Um,
be putting your husband in the backyard on the left or right side with a tent. I'm just saying. I am never gonna get invited back right now.
Yes, you are. Because you kind of
well, I
you.
do
I love
take
it.
like I get together with girlfriends, my girlfriends from college. Like we get
Yeah.
together at Christmas and in the summer, and I do remember like when I first started doing that, like right when we were first married, my mom was like, "Don't you be leaving your husband?" I'm like, "Look, no, ma'am." And then after I had the girls, because it was 10 years before we had the girls, you're like, "What you gonna do with the girls?" I don't know. Do you want me sane or do you want me
Right.
at
Yep.
home with the girls?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's something I do. We get together at Christmas, usually, and again in the summer. And yeah, that's just something just for me and, just do whatever it is, I like to do. We're in a good space now because they are 14.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can
Oh, so
leave
you
and
have
get
twins.
out. Yeah, twins. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can leave and get out without them and yeah, so I guess that and I spend a lot of time, praying, just kind of praying through you know, different situations or whatever is making me anxious or worried or concerned and praying over our relationships, our
Mm-hmm.
marriages too and my husband. I used to do yoga and I really enjoyed it, but and all during COVID, I would walk every day. That would be one thing, I made sure to do every day. It gave me something to do every day. And I would just walk the neighborhood.
Okay.
So this summer I might go back maybe to yoga or
Mm-hmm.
I might start walking again. But
Walking is
yeah,
nice. It's nice.
it
It just
is.
you can
It's
really just kind of
beautiful.
clear your
It's
mind.
quiet. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah.
I need to
So
do more of that.
Or
mm-hmm.
walk.
Because it
You and
doesn't
me
cost
both.
money. You don't have to leave the
Yep.
house. You know what I mean? You don't have to leave the kids. You can wear whatever you got on and just
Mm-hmm.
walk out the door. So yeah.
That's one of the things I do like about where I live. I'm still not fond of Texas. I'm sorry for those of you listening
Really?
that will
Where
listen.
are you in Texas?
I'm in San Antonio.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is where we have settled down at. And I think that and this really does go back to what you just asked, Carissa, because the first I've been here I think 8 years now. And so the first 5 years I was here, I taught at one particular high school. And when I tell you I was just always there, like day in, day out, I shut that building down. Because so you
Oh
say bye, I
wow.
was like, bye, see y'all tomorrow. And I wasn't leaving to 8, 9, 10, 11, sometimes midnight. And yeah, I was always there. I was there on the weekends. And so I just it was everything was about trying to work and all of that. And I wasn't doing much care. And so when you're talking about walking and different things and I'm like I had to start trying to do a little bit more of that and it was nice. It was nice when especially when COVID hit. I was like, whew, I can breathe a little bit. I can
hmm
and
hmm
so, sometimes that's what I'm saying. Like you get so wrapped up in everything else that you don't take care of yourself. And I was like, okay, I need to start doing some of that. And just what you said. So yeah, I recommend getting out there walking because I know I was a walking and talking soul to God. Lord, look, we gotta talk about this.
Yes, you did, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That without that self-care, you're no good to your partner because you
Correct.
have to take care of yourself. You know what I mean? And I need to do better. I make excuses like, well, I got busy with the kids and so they got homework and I can help them, and I just don't make that kind of time like I should. But I one of my things is roller skating. I know it's crazy. Um,
Oh, nice.
I get out on a roller skate.
Except for I
Right.
had my arm last year.
I can't do that.
So I caught myself trying to prepare for my 49th last year because I was going to have a nice 49 birthday party and I wanted it, my old friends, old school, we're going to skate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Girl, and then I had my daughter and myself for out. We were practicing all summer at like the we were outside at a tennis court. So it's kind of cushiony. So we were doing the thing, and I taught myself some moves. And there was this move I was trying to perfect called the downtown on skates, and I had gotten ahead of myself. I just thought I was doing it. my daughter is staying over there like, because she's ready to go. She's like not feeling it. She's like, why just mama got me out here, like every week? Why we got to do this? Why do I
Right.
do this? You know what I'm saying? But she was skating too. I'm like, well, we might as well both improve because it's great.
That is so charisma.
Girl, I thought I was doing it downtown, and then I had lost all footing, and I was flat.
You went downtown.
And I broke my arm. And the crazy thing is,
Oh no.
I didn't realize it was such a fall that I felt so dizzy, and we had to sit in the car until I could not be dizzy anymore. Like
wow.
that. And then I'm calling Michael. I'm like, I think you might want to just meet me at urgent care. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure what's happening. And so I have really thick skin. Like I really have a high pain tolerance too. So like I went to the thing and it was gonna be too long. It was COVID, and there was like, oh, you can't be seen right now. We don't know when you're seen. I'm like, well then, and I had a signing that day. So I went home and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go about my day. I'll go to the hospital when I'm done with my signing. Signings are like 200 papers long. And I was like, I walked in there and like, you okay? I said, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm just holding my arm just like this, just not moving. I couldn't even dress myself. In fact, I was trying to, those things you put on the Spanx?
Yeah.
Wear them because I had a signing. I could not put them on myself. It was terrible. I was in there trying to help me do the front. And, it was traumatic to the children because could you help me get my arm in?
Oh, I saw you did the left leg, and there you got the right leg. Come on, Michael.
So, and so I finally, now it's like almost evening time. I go to the hospital, and sure enough, he said, how long you been walking around like this? I said, like all day. It's definitely broken. It's broke. It's broke. And it's gonna be
broke.
6 weeks before you can. He said, you're not having a skate party. I'm very sorry.
Oh.
To the healing time. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. So that was my time to do, but I kind of have pulled back a little bit from skating.
Okay.
Like I just don't know.
You're all for encouraging.
Yeah, I gotta listen. I'm gonna do some of your stuff. Like I might think about the yoga. I kind of really think I want to do yoga, and I do need to walk.
But I really love yoga because because when I was doing it, I used to like always go for massages, but after yoga, you feel like you've had a massage. It's like you're all
really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not doing yoga right.
Oh yeah.
The way this body is set up. Look, I'm sure my sister probably chimed in there. So she, I was going to the gym with her, and so she's gotten a lot better. She's very much so flexible, and she's doing these yoga moves, and I'll be up there trying to do the Charlie Angel thing. I went over looking like this, and she's like, "Okay, now bend forward and stretch this as far as I can go," and then I flop over to the side. Nah, they don't seem like I got a massage at all. It seemed like I'm my body parts out of there.
Oh yes. I would just leave like wanting to go home and just be all relaxed and laid out. Yeah.
No, I want to go on to the hospital and see if they can sew me back up. Feel like I done broke a few things. Okay. I have to get to that stage in life. When I grow up, I want to be like that. Okay.
Well, you guys, I'm so glad we were able to come together. And it's just, I didn't even think about the fact that you guys have a lot in common, being teachers.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't even think about that, but
Okay.
I'm glad you guys got to meet. I'm glad, and what's so funny is I have a knack for um bringing the right mix together, and this was so perfect. Like this was
Yes.
this was a nice little group. So thank you so much for
Thank
making my
you.
first time back on in a while. Like so fun. I had a
Yes,
good
thanks
time.
for asking.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you. This was
Yeah.
so exciting. I couldn't wait
Yeah.
to I was like, oh yay.
I knew Stephanie was gonna be all in. I was like, yeah, she was my easy. Like I was like, oh, I knew Stephanie's gonna just do this. But yes, I thank you guys so much. So Stephanie and I met overseas when we were stationed in Belgium, and we're both from Michigan, but we never knew each other in Michigan, which is kind of funny,
It
right?
was so funny because a deer a deer was a baby. And remember we went to the train station and some have your ticket and we're just like, we'll hold the baby. You go get. She's like, we will not kidnap. Because Anne Marie was like, we will not kidnap your baby.
We were in a whole other country. I didn't know people. I did not know Stephanie. I didn't know none of these people.
But we all became good friends. And I will say this: I miss my friends from overseas, but I still say Thanksgiving at your place was still my all-time favorite Thanksgivings of all time.
That was
I
Oh,
had
wow.
enjoyed it. Yes, we all came to her house. We all brought just like something, and we sat
Yeah.
and fellowshiped and ate. It was so nice, and I miss it.
I
Oh,
think
wow.
what happens is because when you're overseas, you don't have family there, so you have to really kind of create your own family.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's special because I think we all recognize that. You know what I mean? I think we
Mhm.
talked about why the day was thankful. I mean, it was like a whole thing, but it was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Now April is just like she's blood. She's like my cousin, and I haven't seen her or any other family in Ohio in years, because I've been all over the place, and it's. So I'm like, but now that I'm here, I'm excited. I'm going to be seeing April in April
Yeah.
Aw.
for a family function. So I'm so excited to see the family. I don't even know do myself. Like I'm prepping my whole family to be ready for mommy's weirdness because I'm gonna be a big kid. I'm like, I'm just gonna let go, and I'm just gonna be loving on people. Can we do that? I don't
Yeah.
know if we can do that because it's COVID. Anyway, but
Yeah.
I can do
I'm done
that.
with COVID. I'm done with
Okay,
COVID.
we get a hug or something. But yeah, so I'm excited. But thank you guys so much. We're gonna wrap this up until the next time. The next time we're having guys on here. This should be fun.
Oh.
Yes, and their characters too. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Well, it's the same subject matter, so we get to hear it from their perspective, and they've
Yeah.
been there too for a length of time. And yeah, this is just the kickoff right here. Yep. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night.
Yes,
Bye.
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 Wait, I gotta okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.